Hey there, DRush211 here to give you the tutorial series for the speedrun of Dragon Warrior 1 on GBC. So the first thing you're going to see us doing is creating a name. That's actually going to dictate a higher attack and HP values. Those are very critical later on. So there's a guide along with my GitHub documents kind of stating how to get a name you might want, because you can go with capital D, capital R, lowercase s, lowercase h if you want, and that'll work just fine for you. But if you want more of a name closer to something you would recognize or like, just look at the guide and you'll be able to figure out something that works for you. So after the 30-second intro, you're starting in the King's Tower. He's going to talk to you about how you're going to save the world, and the first thing you're going to do is grab these chests. Actually, the first thing you're going to do is check underground, because that's something you're going to do a lot during this run. You only have 2 buttons. The A button does pretty much everything, so you're going to have some of those happen. So you'll notice you picked up some gold, a torch, and a key. The key you just used. The torch is going to be very important later on, and the money is so we can buy items in the town. That herb is actually optional, but for anybody starting the run, I'd recommend you get it. Okay, so as soon as we get into town, the first thing we're going to go buy is a club. That's our main damage dealer for probably the first 15 minutes of the run. It's not going to help you with any of the major enemies, but it will help you get through the slimes and spookies and drakies. So after we get that, we're going to grab a warp wing. We actually hold on to this for now. We'll use it a little bit later on. It's critical you don't do this until the choker split, and I'll explain more about that later on. And as soon as we do that, we're going to go into the item shop. We're going to buy a dragon scale, 2 torches, and 2 herbs. The 2 torches are so that we can kill a bigger enemy later. Dragon scale is for the extra defense that it gives for cheap, and then the herbs obviously to heal up when necessary. So, and this goes to runner's choice, but you want to equip that dragon scale. I always forget, so I've always put it as a marker now that as soon as I come out of the shop and see that guy, I equip it. If you forget it, it's not the worst thing in the world, but someone like a spooky will hit you just so much harder, and they'll end runs. That's a real thing. So we're going to go through and attack everything that we can up until this point, or up until level 2. You're looking for 7 experience early on. So ideally you could get, say, a couple of red slimes and a spooky, or a couple of red slimes and a draki. Spookies hit the hardest and they take the longest to kill, but they also give the most experience. And so Drakis usually take 2 hits, Spookies can take 3 to 4 depending on if you get a good roll or not, and the Slimes all take 1 hit. Red Slimes give 2 XP, regular Slimes give 1. So, you notice here we got a red slime, that's 2, so that gets us to 7 and level 2. I would recommend not crossing the damage steps until you get to level 2, up to runner's choice, but it's safer for anybody who's learning the speedrun. And so we got a Draki here. We're actually looking to get 4 experience points after that level up. You need 16 to get to the next level, and the reason we go for 4 early is that we actually want to allow 2 encounters to level us up instead of just 1. So in the next set of enemies we're looking for is a Magician, which gives 8 experience, a Mage Draki, which gives 12, and a Scorpion, which gives 16. All of them take 3 torches to kill, and torches you can just throw at them and they do anywhere from 4 to 6 damage. So here we go, we're going to fight a Mage Draki. He's going to give 12 experience, and since we've got 2 fights, we got 6 experience. He gives us 12, which is 18, and we level up. It's very important you level up before you get to call. Alright, that was perfect. It actually would have been a little bit better had he hit us for a little more damage before we got into call. We're going to use the damage steps in here to die and go back to the castle, kind of a speed warp back. Alternatively, if you ended up with, say, full HP, say you fought a Scorpion, ended up with full HP, you could try to walk back to the castle and force a Mage Draki fight, and hopefully you kill him and get a little experience extra going back on the way, but that's not critical. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to die to the damage steps. And deaths don't cost you anything but half your gold, but at this point we have so little it doesn't matter. Now a very important thing we do here is we actually save, and we're going to do a roll on the strength seed. So for this first strength seed, what you need is either a 2 or a 3. I'll talk more about that later. But you always want to save, and if you don't get it, say you get a 1, then you'll reset the game, start back up, and try to get a 2 or a 3 again. And so now we're going to head over to closer to the rocky cave. We want some big enemy fights, but only after we get to level 4. So we are going to fight for 22 experience points worth, and we're going to get to level 4. Then we're going to cross the bridge, fight a couple of big monsters, and then head to Guaranham to heal up. So spookies are what you're looking for here. You now kill them in 1 to 2 hits, and they give the most experience, so least amount of fights is optimal. And so to touch back on the strength seed roll that we had, we are looking for 5 to 6 strength so that whenever we go fight Golem, you're getting in the 10 to 13 damage range as opposed to 9 to 12. So that matters because it basically is going to cut off 1 attack extra you have to do with Golem. Why that's important, normally you'd say 1 attack, what's that, another couple of seconds. The problem is with Golem is that a lot of times you end up at the last part of the fight having to keep putting him to sleep after every round. So that 1 extra attack actually costs about 30 seconds. So it's pretty nice to get that. Also, it helps for later on as well, just with all the dragon fights, the dragon lord fights, etc., to have the extra strength. So it's worth doing a couple of rerolls, maybe even costing yourself 30 seconds to a minute, just for the consistency it brings about later on in the run. And so we are just going to grind a little bit more here. Like I said, as soon as we get to the next level, we'll cross that bridge. And if you notice, I'm actually not even with the bridge. So one of the weird things is that you can actually get into a fight with a magician and possibly a scorpion or a Magidraki on that bottom level. So we're going to stay 1 level above it. Though we do want to stay close so that as soon as we end a fight up here for level 4, we can just head down and immediately get into another one. And so I think we should be 1 more fight away, and the next one will get us to level 4. Level 4 is important because that's when you get Fireball. Alright, perfect. So we learned Fireball, and that's a really good spell. So now we're going to look for hopefully a Scorpion, because all of these enemies will die in 1 hit. And so we just got one, and he dies in 1 hit, and we're good to go. He gives the most experience out of the 3 possible big monsters you could fight here. So we'll hope for another one. The average is a Magidraki, so you're looking at about 24 experience when you get out of here. So you still just fight the small critters. You're ideally hoping for the big ones so you can just head back to Guaranham, but you might as well fight anything here, because they still could trap you, so fleeing isn't all that useful. Alright, so there's our Scorpion, and that's the last 4 MP. That's why we actually got to level 3, is so that we'd have 4 MP. So that's the end of this split. The next one we're going to talk about is going to the Rocky Cave and going to get the Choker. That's the most RNG heavy part of the run, except for probably Dragon Lord himself at the very end. So hopefully you tune into the next clip, and thanks for watching the tutorial series on Dragon Warrior 1 GBC.